Otherwise, it will delay of time.
Right, right. So, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the second Zoom session of Keatley's short story writing competition that was held in the month of May, and we now have our winners, 51 bright winners amongst us, and we are glad today that to mentor these bright young children, we have with us Dr. Purnima Chauhan, IAS, HP Kadri. She's retired from services in February 2020 and as Secretary, Government of Himachal Pradesh. Well, it is an honor for me to read her credentials here before you all. A gold medalist in during her graduation in English Honours, an MBA from HP University, Masters in Development Economics from Manchester University, UK, and a PhD in Reinventing and Managing Tourism Destination Growth in 2009. Dr. Purnima has over 36 years of service in various capacities as a civil servant. In 2019, she was conferred the UN Earth Day Network Award for innovative steps towards waste management in 36 scheduled temples of Himachal Pradesh. She's an advisor on the UN Earth Day Network. As Secretary Culture, Government of Himachal Pradesh, she initiated a new Shimla International Literature Festival in 2018, and its second edition was held in 2019 with an indigenous Pahari theme. To leverage our rich cultural resources and heritage, she devised the street scheme Apursa, Aaj Purani Raho Se, under which 1,147 lesser known sites in Himachal Pradesh were identified statewide to disperse tourism and make it experiential while fostering, skilling, and creating new livelihood for a cadre of cultural guides. During the Vishwa Hindi Sammelan 2018 in Mauritius, she launched a compilation of 7 vanishing scripts of Pahari language, which she had done because it has great emotive significance for the people of Himachal. Her other interests include an abiding passion for fine arts, especially as a vocalist. Cultural spheres like music, theater, dance, sketching, travel, exploring heritage, writing, and reading are very close to her heart. Dr. Purnima, we are very, very fortunate to have you here with us today, and we are really looking forward to this session with you. Welcome on our behalf. I hand over this virtual stage to you now.
Thank you so much, Sonia. And a big thanks to you and Vandana, not only for inviting me, but for having organized this fantastic competition, which, goes to show, and as Sonia just shared with me, that Government of India also is simultaneously realizing that we have so much talent below 30 years of age. And you have already tapped some of that talent. And first of all, heartiest congratulations to the winners. I believe there are 51 winners, right? Big round of applause for all of you. So, and yeah, you must applaud yourselves because, success is a journey. It is not a destination. The moment you taste success, you want more of it. And I think in that quest, whatever you're trying, the hard work you're doing, it doesn't remain hard work, it becomes joy. And somewhere, how many of you know what is the demographic dividend? What is the demographic dividend of India? Any hands? No? Okay. Demographic dividend is actually that India is, 65% of India is below 30 years of age. And do you know that makes us the youngest country in the world? And what does that mean for us, for the economy, for, because that is what the government is realizing and putting its trust in the younger generation, that we are the youngest economy, which has many, many outcomes. Number one, we have a large workforce, which is waiting to take this country to that target of a $5 trillion economy, $5 trillion economy by the year, how many of you know? By the year 2025. So it is one of the emerging economies. Unfortunately, COVID has been a big setback, but that is a global setback. So it's not just India. But COVID is also an opportunity. As an author or a budding author, there are many COVID stories now, which you could be seeing around you. Tomorrow, you could turn that into a book. And there are some impressions which, if you capture them now, they will be very vivid, they will be very relevant because you're going through this challenge. It's a global pandemic, it doesn't happen every day. But as an author, you see opportunity in everything. You know, you have that third eye or that instinct which other people who are not interested in this field may not have. But definitely, an author has a special eye, a special instinct. And I think all of you have proven that. And I'm sure that the others who did not make the cut for the award, they also have so much talent that I'm very sure that Kikli will continue to do this very good work. And you know, how many of you have ever thought of the word Kikli? It's such an interesting name that Vandana has given it. Because, you know, it's two people who have joined hands. Anybody played Kikli? None of you? Come on, this is the internet
Yes,
generation.
ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
yes.
ma'am.
Yes, you can raise your
Right.
hands.
Yes, ma'am.
Good, good, good. Because I'm sure even in the digital games age, you do play physical games. That's very, very important for the head and the heart. So Kikli is a game where, you know, although you're pulling against each other, but you're also supporting each other. You know, if you have read the centrifugal and centripetal forces, I think Kikli is the biggest epitome of that. So having said that, I believe there are certain, there's a session which has already been done, and Vandana and Sonia have answered many of the very pertinent questions regarding how to be an author. Many of you are already in it, and if you've done it with all your head and heart and have not had other people helping you beyond some extent, believe me, you are on your way to enjoying every bit of this journey. So I'll share something with you that, you know, sometimes things are thrust upon you. You may feel, oh my God, you know, one of our teachers in St. Bede's College, she said to me, Mrs. Mathur, she was our English teacher and a very, very good teacher. Probably I owe my gold medal more to her than to myself. So she was the one who told me one day that, Purnima, you know what, you are going for this debate competition. I said, me and debating? Where do you see it written in my face? I can't debate for nuts. So she says, no, 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 you have to do it. I know it, you can do it. I mean, she was placing her trust in me for God knows what reason. She must have seen something. That is how I did my PhD also. Someone else placed trust in me and I kind of, you know, adopted it as my own mission. So now for a week, I thought that she's going to ask me after 1 week. So let me just try to keep quiet about it. She will forget all about it. And you know, the second shock was when she said, Purnima, the topic is, and many of you may have heard this line because it comes from Shakespeare, frailty, thy name is woman. And I said, oh my God, I hate Shakespeare for having ever said that because I'm a die-hard feminist, and not feminist in the old sense, but gender balancing person. And I said, I don't believe in this. She said, but you have to support the motion. I said, oh my God, this is making things more difficult. How can I support the motion when I don't believe in it? Now, she had so much faith. She left me wondering. And for a week, she didn't speak to me. But, you know, she left me with this responsibility. Although I thought I'm going to say no to her after 1 week. But in that 1 week, my mind started working. And that is how I say you pick up impressions from your surroundings, which even without knowing, your sixth sense is picking them up. And an author will do that. So when I started after 1 week, I said, oh my God, tomorrow is the 8th day and she's going to ask me. Suddenly, you know, it all started coming out of my system. It was almost as if I couldn't contain it any longer. It was like, you know, overflow. And I started writing. Whatever came to my head. And when I wrote, you know, how many pages? 22 pages. 22 pages just came out because you were thinking about it, you were observing it in those 7 days, all the time hoping that, my God, main bali ka bakra, mujhe kyun pakda? So, but then when she heard those 22 pages, she laughed her sides out because there was humor in it, there was content in it, and there was a structure in it. Now, And then the die was cast. She says, I chose the right person. You are going to speak. The only thing is you have to reduce it from 22 pages to 5 minutes. That's it. And on the final day, when I had to speak, and I had, of course, learnt up my material, but one has a tendency of looking towards the paper. I forgot the paper at home. I was the first speaker, and I'm sharing this with you. Don't tell anybody. I wore a sari only because I was so nervous that I didn't want anybody to see my knees knocking against each other. So the sari would have hidden that. And because of the fact that I was looking up, I had no paper to look down. I was making eye contact with the people. And they were asking questions, I was answering them. And I ended up with the first prize. Now, again, she said, look, I chose very well. So now after that, for every debate, I was certain to go for that. But then today it has helped me and I'm very grateful to her. So sometimes things happen to you in life. So this particular competition that you've gone into, whatever were your motivations, trust me, it's a turning point. It's a turning point which will take you places. And so shall we, Sonia, have some questions?
Yes, Dr. Poonima. I think we have a list of questions here. We have the participants also, but on their behalf, they'd already sent us a few questions. I will start with Sharanya's question. Sharanya, is Sharanya there? I'll just have to check in this thing. Sharanya, would you like to ask your question yourself? Is she around? One second.
I think I have that question.
Yes.
I think so. Maybe that question is in other people's minds also.
Yes.
So we will address that.
Yes, the question is how to develop a point of view in a story. A point of view from the character's point of view. What she means to say is the point of view of a character, how to develop that in a story.
Okay. The point of view of the character. The character is built by you. It is you who have a central piece, a showpiece around which you want to build your story. Now, that story could have, it could be based on a weak character. Weak means the character frame of the person is weak, not that the person is weak. Or it could be a very strong character, or it could be one of the supermen and the superwomen that you can think of. Or it could be a true story. There are so many narratives. There are so many styles of narratives. Or it could be more than one character. There are many interesting stories I read about just recently about Nazi Germany and how there were 3 women who came together, and it's a true story. Now, the entire book is divided into chapters where these 3 women, how their lives are converging very, very slowly. So one is coming from America. The other one is a Jew who ends up in a concentration camp. And the third one is from Germany. They were the perpetrators of all the kind of atrocities on the Jews. So how these 3 women come together, and that is what takes the narrative forward. Because every time you read about person 1, you want to know what was person 2 doing at the same time. You want to know what was person 3 doing. So where is your story leading up? So that is very important. Characters are built around the story. So I think that the character also depends upon his role playing in the story. And real life experiences always help. So if you don't have an experience like that yourself, but you know somebody, you could interview that person to get. And most of these stories that you see the films which are being made also on real life characters. I think Saina Nehwal's movie is coming very shortly. So you just know her as a champion badminton player. What did she go through? Chak De, I think, was a very interesting film. So the narrative is not around Shah Rukh Khan. We would have thought it's a Shah Rukh Khan. It is not. It is around all those girls who come from different walks of life and how they become a team. So the story is very important. And that is how you'll see a lot of stories. The storyline dictates the character. And sometimes when you have a villain as the main character, so it's not the value judgments are not very important. You have to build the character. That is important. You have to be having an authentic character, a believable character. And that is how the reader gets so engrossed. Readers like me, the book stays with me in my loo also. I'm admitting it here. that I remember when my father was in the army and in Delhi. I remember in our house we used to have a study room, and my brother and I were voracious readers. So he would issue one book which both of us had not read, and I would also issue a book from the library which we hadn't read. By evening, that particular loo in the study room was occupied for about 2.5 hours by me and then by him. So by that time, we would have read our books and then exchanged them. And next day, both the books would be returned to the library, and then the library ran out of books. So, I mean, that is how an author holds your attention. Enid Blyton, I think, was a craze. Nancy Drews, Enid Blytons, and Roald Dahl. These are all, I think, they have stayed with us. And I don't know how many of you have read P.G. Wodehouse. Have you read P.G. Wodehouse? Well, hold on to your chairs because you will fall off laughing. It is so amazing. It's not easy to do humor. So these are must reads. Must create a list of classics. How many have read Lord of the Flies? Very, very interesting, because more than what the story is telling you, it is the mindset of people, the civilization that we live in, the way we behave, and we know how to behave in society. What happens when you're thrown on an island? It's a very interesting take, and these are children. So Lord of the Flies is a very interesting book which I would strongly recommend to see how there are not just main characters. Every character is very important in that. But at the same time, when you're reading, because an author has to be a reader first, very, very important. Because then you see or you admire the craft. Then you're not just reading. You're admiring a turn of phrase. How does a person visualize or show something, an imagery? A rainbow is not just a rainbow. It could be projected as something quite different. And whenever I used to come across such metaphors, similes, comparisons, I would actually sit down and make a note of it. And I'll share another thing with you, which I'm sure you must have been told already. Vocabulary is an extremely, extremely important thing. Humor is very important. Even in a talk, if you're just simply talking, so after a while somebody will switch off. But if you place the very interesting aspect in such a manner that people get hooked on, their eyes open. Ab kya hoga? Aage kya hai? This is not a thriller, but it becomes like a thriller. So I'll give you one example. For instance, do you know there is an Acer report of Government of India, which is a report on the education system. And fortunately, you all are studying in very good schools, and you're a pride of the school, you're pride of your parents, and of course, pride of Kikli. So, what is those? There are many unfortunate children out there who don't have this facility. Now, the report says that many of the children in class 5 cannot do the maths of class 2. And very recently I was teaching some rural children over here. And this was absolutely true. There was a child who was in class 9. He couldn't do the maths of class 2. So how will they get ahead in life? How will they have the opportunities which we all have, which you have? So now that particular report, I think, made one of our officers think very hard. And for Himachal, he created a scheme by which he improved the learning skills of certain schools, government schools, in such a way that this lack of learning was in English as well as in maths was improved in 45 days. So he was going to make a presentation to Government of India for an award for his work. So I, as Secretary AR, I was looking at his presentation. So I told him, I said, you've done such good work. You've really done remarkable things. You should get the award. But your presentation is not making an impact. Please remember, making an impact is very important, whether you're talking, whether you're writing. So he said, ma'am, how can I do it? मैंने कहा आपने सबसे important चीज क्या बोली है कि this problem which persists all over India, you have resolved it in 45 days. So your first slide should say, the ASA report says these are the problems. Your second slide should say, in Himachal, we have resolved it in 45 days. The turnaround is happening in 45. So what will happen? When people hear him, tell me what will happen. What will be the reaction? Some people will say, "Jhoot bol raha hai." Some will say, how can it happen? They will want to know more. But what have you done? You've got everybody's attention. So that is very important. What is that particular aspect in your book, the centerpiece, or more than one centerpiece? Your story has to be structured and evolving around that. Then your character placement, everything starts falling into a place. So sketching a character, probably connecting the dots, is very, very important. So you have to find your USP. In other words, unique selling proposition. What is that? That comes from a lot of personal interaction, personal knowledge about the story and the characters. So can we
Absolutely,
go to the
ma'am.
next question?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, before I move on to the next question, I think I will just pick up from the last point that you said, from a lot of you said that USP comes from a lot of personal interaction. I would like to add here for the children also that when you sit down to write a story, of course, getting a real story, writing about something is another thing. But another important aspect from ma'am's point is research work.
Yeah.
I think for every story, every book, a lot of research work. Ma'am, if you would like to elaborate on this,
Lovely point, Sonia. I'm so glad you raised that, because going back to my story of frailty, thy name is woman. Now, when I was forced into thinking about it, suddenly my mind stopped thinking, ki, yeah, mere ko phasa diya, and then it started working positively, that what would I write if I had to write this? And I'll give you an example. Have you heard of Satyavan and Savitri? In Hindi, must read up your mythology
Yes,
also.
ma'am.
You
Yes,
have.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
very
Ma'am,
good.
yes, ma'am.
So
And
when
it's
a
in that
husband
puja
dies,
also.
you
Yes, ma'am.
have.
It's in that
Great.
puja also, ma'am.
Okay. So when a husband dies, then how does she bring him back to life? Yama comes to take him, the god of death. He comes to take the husband. So how does she bring him back to life? She brings him back to life by saying to Yama that, okay, you can take him, but I need 3 boons from you. So he said, okay. So the first boon she asked that give my father-in-law back his kingdom. Then she asked for something else. And then she says, I want 100 sons. So if her husband is dead, how will she get 100 sons? So she tricked Yama into making her. Now that is a story which has been told 100 times. Now you could just accept it and say it's part of our Indian mythology. Put on your thinking cap. I used it for my frailty thy name is woman by saying that, see, there is a preference for sons in India because they must have done something to deserve it. I used it for my arguments by saying that, look, she didn't ask for 100 daughters. She didn't say, give me 50 sons and 50 daughters or equal number. She said, give me 100 sons. So something which was already a story. I mean, there is another one which I want to share with you, which of course I'm duty bound to do it. How many, if you've read anything about women's status in India, and of course, as you become an author, you will come across something, issues on climate change, you'll come across some things on gender, it is everywhere. So you can't escape it. So let me debunking myths is very important. When you do research, as Sonia asked, you will come across myths and you will start challenging them and you will question them and you will grow as a person and as a thinker. And trust me, then you will have a following which will be as good as the Twitterati. So what happened? I was going to speak on a gender issue. And as I told you, my teacher had turned me into a speaker. Now, one of my bosses, very learned man, I must owe it to him. And he told me, I said, sir, what is this? This is Tulsidas. I mean, I used to think very highly of him. But look at what he's written. He's written, Dhol Gawar Shudra Pashu Nari, Sab hai Taran ke adhikari. Means the drum, the Shudra, the low caste, and the woman all deserve to be beaten and administered corporal punishment. For what? Nobody has asked. Just for being a dhol, just for being a Shudra, just for being a woman. And he started laughing. He says, have you always understood it like this? I said, yeah, in English and Hindi. This is the description. And let me open your eyes to the real description. Never read anything outside its context. Always read it with the context. So now he said, Purnima, I have 21 explanations just for these 2 lines, but I will share only one with you on the promise that you will share with every person that you interact with in every forum and debunk this myth, because this myth has gained so much traction. It has taken root. Everybody believes in this wrong thing and it is doing harm to women. So it must be debunked. And that is why I'm sharing with you. So, you know what it says? When the story goes like this, how many of you know the story of Ramayana? Many of you, I'm sure. Now, when Ramchandra ji and Lakshman ji, when they have to cross over to Sri Lanka, they have to cross the Setu Bridge, and they have to cross this ocean, and they request the god of the sea that please give us way. But the Samudra Devta is sleeping. So then Lakshmanji gets very angry. He says, "Oh my God, he doesn't listen to my brother. I will shoot an arrow and dry up this ocean." Now he was a person who was given to anger. So Ramchandraji says, "Wait." And when he says that, suddenly the Samudra Devta, he gets up and he's so remorseful. And he says, "Oh my God, how could I have done this to you, my God? So please forgive me." And just like the dhol, the gawar, the shudra, the pashu, and nari is not woman. Neer, what is neer in English?
Water.
Neer क्या होता है?
In water.
Water.
Pani.
Water.
Water.
Huh?
Water.
Yes, neer is water, pani. And nari is pani ka devta, not woman. So now you see how the whole thing changed. So he said, just like you beat the drum, beat me, beat me. I am the god of water because I did not listen to you in time. So he's asking for punishment for having neglected hearing God, Ram. That is the real meaning. Whereas all along for many centuries, we have believed it means woman. So beating a woman becomes all right. This is how, if you don't research, then you don't get to the truth. So, and promise me you will share the story with others. This meaning, the real meaning with others.
That is a wonderful example, ma'am. That's a very valid example, actually, that why research is so important, because sometimes when I read stories and there's a character of a doctor in a story, but what the doctor is actually doing, what they're trying to, you need to know the terms that doctors use, and you need to have a lot of background research for every story. You just can't go and write anything that comes to your mind. So that's wonderful. Ma'am, there's another thing that you spoke about. You said, you spoke about creating a story based on real life events. We have a question on that as well by Ishan Balakrishnan. We have him here, today. And he asks how to create a story based on real events. So, because what happens is when you were talking about the Nazi Germany, so there's there we have a very, there's an important historical aspect which is turned into a story. But sometimes we have very simple lives. Not everyone's life is very complicated or something that you make a story out of. So he says, how can you turn simple life events into a story?
I think in today's world, I don't think I have come across a better narrative of a real life, very, very terrible situation than the movie called Slumdog Millionaire. Look at the way it marries the life in the slums, the desperation of the slums, the lack of values or having values. And despite the desperation and the desperation of that boy to win, and how did they marry these two concepts? They marry the concept of him being Kaun Banega Karodpati mein, or who wants to be a millionaire. He's winning the competition. Look at the corruption that is happening. Those people who wrote, these are all real life things. That person who doesn't want him to win. He doesn't want him to win. Every question that he answers, he gets beaten up. And how is he answering? Look at the intellectual frame with which that movie has been made. Those 20 questions, 20 or whatever number of questions he answers, is based on a real life event and how he connects the dots. I think the magic lies in that script. It is amazing, but that's not the only one. A real life story I recently read was Educated by Tara Westover. Now, I don't know how many of you heard of Mormons. And this book is not just about education. It is also about, in very egalitarian, so-called modern societies, like even in America, you have people like the Mormons. And there's another story that I saw serialized just now. There is a movie. It's a serial on Netflix called Unorthodox. Now, Unorthodox is about a particular sect of the Jews who are so conventional, and how this girl feels suffocated, claustrophobic in that, and how she escapes, breaks out of it. And it's a true story. But again, you asked that how to represent a true story. I think the person who underwent that particular horror of being, literally staying in a suffocating atmosphere, she didn't want to represent the ending. Perhaps I'm actually going to read that book now to know what actually happened to her. Because in the movie, when I read the reviews, this girl's liberty that she gains by coming to Berlin, which is Germany. I mean, a Jew coming to Germany is amazing. And how she makes a life for herself, removes the suffocation, escapes from a marriage. There's so many other nuances to the story. So the real story is not about Berlin. So half the story is taken from real life. The second half is not, because there must be something very sensitive about it. And then stories have gone on, like Jodha Akbar and all that, and so many other stories in which there was an outcry all over India. There are sensitive elements, whereas Sonia said research is extremely important. But out of all these stories, one book that I will certainly recommend is something which has never gone out of my mind, and that is Roots by Alex Haley. And this was written years ago, I think in the early 90s. Roots by Alex Haley is talking about the African slave market, and how Alex Haley, it is his story of his ancestors 7 generations earlier, Kunta Kinte, who was brought from Africa into slavery in America, and what happened to him. And honestly, my entire perspective on Americans and on the slave trade was completely influenced by this. And do you know, it brought America to a complete halt. This particular story was serialized. Aajkal to you see Netflix and you have the OTT platform, everything is serialized. That was not the time when everything was serialized. America came to a halt in the evenings because, just like our Ramayan also had us, sitting glued to our TVs, America was glued to its TV for 1 week watching the serialization of Roots. So I would say, can you just give me 1 second? I'm just getting an urgent. Hello? Hello? Good evening,
So
Shivananji.
I'll just take a second. So children, in the meantime, I think I can add on here. One thing I feel, which is very important when you are telling a story, is the honesty with which you tell a story. So like Dr. Purnima just told us about Educated by Tara Westover. I've read the book, and I think the biggest point in the book is the honesty with which she has narrated her story, I think. So, taking Ishan's question on how to turn real life experiences into a story, I think the honesty with which you write about your real life experience is most important. Dr. Purnima.
Very important. Yeah, and Sonia, also that Tara Westover paid a very heavy price for that. Her family doesn't speak to her,
Yes,
but
that is
she
true.
has the courage. She has the courage to go through it. And do you know that she came from a background where she was deprived of an education, systematically deprived, in such a manner that when she actually fought, went to a university and asked very innocently a question: what is the meaning of the Holocaust? The Holocaust is what happened to the Jews in the Second World War. The entire class, which knew what is the Holocaust, would never talk about such a sensitive thing, would never ask this question. They all thought she's pretending.
Yes.
So she's actually gone through such things. It was a battle between her upbringing and her breaking away from it to get an education, to get a worldview. And that is why, if you are on the learning curve, trust me, never ever think you have arrived. You may win as many awards or become a celebrated author. If you think you're on the learning curve, trust me, you will spin out bestsellers every time. Every time.
That's
It's not
wonderfully
easy.
put.
It's not easy, but that's the only way to go.
That's
So,
that's
things
wonderfully
like, I
said.
don't know how many of you would have read Gone with the Wind. Well, the book says Gone with the Wind, but that wind always stayed in my head. Because I remember as SDM Marki, it's a 1,000-page book. I actually postponed my cases that day. I was hearing a lot of cases because I was so stuck to the book, and I'm honestly admitting it. I started reading it in the morning. I didn't speak. I didn't have a bath. I didn't do any. I don't think I ate also until midnight, until I finished the book, a 1,000-page book. So that is how it captures your imagination. Rhett Butler and Scarlett O'Hara, I mean, they are household names. So the kind of universe that Gone with the Wind has, it clarified the entire American Revolution to me and why it happened. There are many other books which have followed. And as far as climate change goes, I would highly recommend this one. It's again a movie, which is also a book, The Day After Tomorrow. That's one. And the one which was written, this is a presentation, more of a presentation by the American president, vice president, Al Gore. That is an inconvenient truth. For an author, knowing the factual reality of the world that you live in gives you a context. And just as I narrated the story of the Ocean King, the context is very important. You can't write, fiction is not always entirely fiction. Fiction also is fixated in some reality, somewhere. And today we are living in such a holographic world which is changing so rapidly. Do you know that the science fiction stories which were written in 2004 have become actual reality jobs in 2015? This is how rapidly our world is changing. And you know what is responsible for that? Soon, I mean, we are getting to know it. You people are born into it. And that is the era of Internet of Things. How many of you have heard of Internet of Things? Big data analytics. Please make a note of Internet of Things. And I'll recommend one essay by a man called Yuval Noah Harari. Yuval, Yuval, Noah, and Harare is Harare. He has written a very famous book called Sapiens. If anybody has captured the entire history of mankind and the hows and whys of the world we live in and we take for granted, never think twice about it, it's like a Gita which lies next to my bed. But it's not a book that you can read easily. It's a book that you can turn to every time. Easier than that is go to the YouTube, hear Yuval Noah Harari, simplify that book and spark that interest in you. That's very important. But more than that, when you read Tyranny of Technology, I'll just narrate one instance from that and how the world is changing. And you must be in sync with that. There is something called artificial intelligence. Are you aware of that? Robots,
Yes, ma'am.
artificial
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So there is
Yes,
also
ma'am.
computer learning. Now there's a difference. Computer learning and artificial intelligence are two different things, and I will give you just one example from this paper called Tyranny of Technology. Tyranny is Tyrannny. Tyranny of Technology. That is by Yuval Noah Harari. It's a very small paper, not very big, but 5-6 pages. It talks of chess games, 100 years of chess winners. They were also winners like you. Those strategies which they use to win their games, and chess is a very difficult game, so it's all brain work. 100 years of winners strategies were fed into one computer, and that computer, the opponent of that computer was artificial intelligence. I forget the name of that. And that artificial intelligence simply had the rules of chess game fed into it. So it played one game with the computer and it kind of evened out the game. In the second game, it started winning. It started evening out games. It started learning. Artificial intelligence has the capacity to learn itself. It keeps on improving on itself. And do you know, in 4 hours, it defeated the computer which had 100 years of brains fed into it. That is the speed with which artificial intelligence can sort data, learn, improve, and win. So that's another area. And why I'm suggesting this to you is also not just because you should know about it, because this is the new world. And trust me, there are very few people who know about Industry 4.0, Industry 5.0. These are the new things. I think within a year, you will be learning about it. Because this is something which started in 2011 but has become a reality. And I am speaking about it. In fact, we have opened a center of excellence also in JP University for this very purpose. This is the next big thing to happen. So you must know about it. The thing is that in this, you have something called chatbot, which helps you to, when you're researching, it helps you to research, it refines your research. Have you ever seen on your phones that when you're doing e-commerce or you're buying something online or you're looking at books, next time you open your phone, all the messages will be about books. So if you're looking for buying a car, next time all the messages will be about car, because somebody at the back end is doing data research on what is this person looking at. So chatbots are sitting there, and they're not human beings, huh? These are machines. So chatbots, these algorithms, they all work. So you have to be in sync with the world that you live in. You may write fiction, but must know the world that you live in and how it is changing. There is a word I use for this world. It is a holographic world. When you take have you seen a card? Purane ho gaye na? Those cards are when you change them this side, you see some other picture. You change them this way, you see some other picture. Have you seen any of you seen those cards?
Ma'am, I have a few.
You have a few, no? So that is called holographic. So our world is also like that. So an author has to be able to see it like a hologram in different ways. And that is what creates fantasy. So that's very, very. Arundhati Roy has done a beautiful job in her Booker Prize winner, God of Small Things. So the vision that you create, the image that you create, when the reader stops to wonder, and it's like having an ice cream with a lot of chocolate on it, and you want to lap up the chocolate. Oh my God, this book is good, but the way of writing is so good that I want to adopt this phrase. So make a note of those, huh? Actually, go around writing those down. Keep a track of that. It will help you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So
That's really, actually, I think such valid points. And ma'am has actually mentioned some very important books during this conversation today, which I hope a lot of you have, taken note of. And I hope they'll make these books will make their way into your library pretty soon. Also, as Dr. Purnima pointed out, I also think that, ma'am, fiction and, non-fiction reality, they cannot be like, they cannot run parallelly. They have to somewhere, they have to cross, their paths cross, and we have to incorporate one into the other. So we have one hand raised. Lavanya, do you have a question to ask before, we just about to wind up?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I am Lavanya Mani. I am a student of class 5 of Auckland House School. I live in Shimla. I belong to Orissa. My father is an army officer. My mother is a doctor. And ma'am, I'm very fond of reading books. It is my favorite pastime. Ma'am, my question was that, ma'am, I'm fond of writing poems, but ma'am, I want to write a poem, very rarely, and I do not write poems very often. So, can you please tell me how to encourage myself to continuously write like once a week?
Ma'am, you have to unmute yourself.
poems is something which has always escaped me, Lavanya. I had to write a poem in school. I tortured myself for 24 hours to write eight lines. But I admire those people who, it just comes to them. It reminds me of Newton. When Newton, when he got his laws of gravity, and he was sitting, I think, with a very free mind, very serendipitous mind. And he saw this apple falling. And very often I've tried to think as if I'm Newton. And and I'm sure he must have thought, why didn't the apple fall this way or this way? Today we know it will fall this way only, it can't fall that way. So, but for Newton to have even thought of something just so obvious and discover gravity is a state of serendipity. It's a difficult word, but trust me, serendipity means letting your mind loose. Don't torture yourself over it. Let it come. It will come. Just have this desire and it will come. When you let your mind free, and let thought flow.
This is beautifully put, ma'am. Actually, for writing, if you push yourself to write, you will not be able to write. That's when your thought comes to you, and you just sit down and put pen to paper. I think that's the natural flow is what finally
It
turns
actually
out
happened
into.
to me. I was election observer in Andhra Pradesh. And I had this man who would promptly, every time he saw me, he would do a Danvat Pranam. You know what is Danvat Pranam? Zameen pe let jana. I said, don't do it, please. You are as worthy of respect as I am. And then he would make my tea with only milk because he thought that only very ghatia people have water in their tea. I said, listen, I can't have this tea with folded hands. I want to have water wali chai. So anyway, whenever I used to go 200 kilometers every day and, looking at election process, everything. So wherever I went, they would serve me that horrible nasty chai, which was treacle like, So I just couldn't have that. So I started carrying my own kettle in my gadi. So when I stopped at one place, and I told this chap, I said, I've taught you now how to make good tea. No, you have tea bags and everything. So you make the tea and bring it. So he said, okay. After 20 minutes, he got that horrible, nasty treacle-like thing. So I said, you give me only coconut water. I'm not having this. By that time, I had undergone so many tortures as far as tea is concerned that I told him, give me 4 sheets of paper. And I said, you continue doing the scrutiny that you're doing of the nomination papers of candidates. Just give me 5-10 minutes. It was coming out of my ears. And I wrote down travails of tea in Karimnagar. I didn't even have to cut even one word. Because when you're feeling so strongly, it came out just like that frailty, right name is woman, it came out of my system. And honestly, it would have made a wonderful middle, except that I think I misplaced those papers. But it was an excellent write-up on how tea became my torture over there. So you have to allow things to flow. Keep on absorbing. It will come.
Thank you, ma'am. Sankvi, can I just request you to mute yourself? Sankvi Kapoor. Can I just request you to mute yourself? Is there anyone else who would like to ask Dr. Purnima a question here? Any other child here who's willing to ask a question? Please raise your hand. Sankvi, could you please mute yourself? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? You can raise your hands, children, if you wish to ask a question. So, ma'am, I have this, I think I'll just take one last question. This is from I think one of the youngest writers here, Ira. And Ira has a very sweet question. She says, how can you help young children aged 7 to bring their imagination in the form of stories and help them bring interesting twists and turns in the story so that the readers are drawn to their story?
Very good question, I must say. I must show you this. This is Tales of Young Gandhi. And you know how this book is written? It's written like this. All stories in a cartoon form. And this is Gandhiji's, stories of experiments with truth. May not be as interesting as this book. So graphics, illustrations, even if small children want to write, but they don't have the vocabulary, now you have a function on your WhatsApp. Just record what they're saying. Let them hear it. Even when I have to write something and I'm traveling, I don't have pen and paper at hand, I do this because I don't want to lose that thought. That wisp of a thought is very important because later on that memory will vanish. So I keep on recording. And later on, and especially, when I'm recording stuff that, there are many octogenarians, old people in this city, heritage city of Shimla, who have nuggets of very beautiful cultural information, which is lost now, virtually. So I'm very afraid if they die, then the information dies with them. So whenever they're saying something like this, I record it. So that is one way. And children, when they hear their own voice, first thing they'll think, aha, this person thinks I'm good enough, important enough. So that is a big motivator. And the second thing is, can you get them to doodle, to do graphics, sketches, to represent what they're saying, even if they don't have the vocabulary? I think that's excellent way of, just getting it out of their mind. So translating that into some form of communication would actually help them. I have very often felt that the stories in Himachal are so many, and I must share this with you that Imtiaz Ali, the director of films like Highway and others, he came to meet me because I think he was also interested in stories, and we all have a child in all of us who loves to hear stories. So he came to me because he knew I was very keen on improving, something in the cultural setup, and we started a scheme called Aaj Purani Rahon Se, based on a song that came straight out of my heart. Now, Apursa scheme was something under which Imtiaz Ali, he said, ma'am, what can we do so that we have, it's an interview. What can I do to make a permanent impact in Shimla? I said the ethos of Shimla. Now that's very important. What makes Shimla tick? Not now, but over the centuries. And that is theatre. So I said, but I don't want English theatre only. There is enough English theatre. I want Pahari theatre. So he said, how do we do that? Then, as we were brainstorming, we were talking. Brainstorming is a very important word. You must do it with people who are like-minded or different. You'll get ideas. So when we were brainstorming, and we thought that, Are Baba, hamari to nati hoti hai. All those who are from Himachal will know nati is actually based on real life stories of real life people, their song and dance celebration. So I said, there are so many stories behind those natis. So let us script them, turn them into a script, and then you will come and train our people, select actors and directors from here, and then we will stage them. We'll get 100 stories, and we'll turn them over three times. So we get 300 days of theater, Pahari theater in Geti, in Shimla, on the pattern of New York's Broadway. And that was a work in progress. And after 4 days, I was transferred. I mean, my department was changed, but I still, and Imtiaz Ali was so upset because we had 15 scripts. Now that is another way you can turn something around. There was a Sanchewala who came to me to sell his book, 300-year-old book. I said, don't sell it, please. You were reading Futures. Today you feel no one has value for it. This book is invaluable. I could have bought it off you, but I will make sure that you earn a livelihood. You know what we did? We made him sit in the book festival over here on the ridge, then in the Shimla International Literature Festival. And I requested the governor and the education minister, please get your Futures read by this man from this ancient book. And we advertised, what is this ancient book about? What is this culture which is vanishing from Shimla and from Sirmaur district? Do you know, from zero income, this man started charging 100 rupees per hand per day for reading Futures per person. He started earning 5,000 rupees per day. So that book became his livelihood. Had he sold it to me, I would have been a winner, but he would have been a loser. So, and he had pasas, dominoes, which he told me were the same as Shakuni was using in the Mahabharata. You remember the game of dice? And those pasas looked the same. They were made of ullu ki haddi, owl bone, or a special wood. So this is how when you start researching, oh my God, I was so fascinated. Now I'm writing a paper for a Canadian university, which I have to submit shortly. That's why all the research is coming out. And that Sancha is an interesting Lal Kitab. So go look for, and I would request all of you, if you want to be our writers for blogs, for the heritage of Himachal, you're more than welcome. Please get in touch with me. I'm looking for talented people like you. You are the future of this country. You're the future of this state. And our lives depend on the enrichment that you can bring to it. Very proud of all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Chauhan. I think this is a very important point. I will take it up as a closing note, because when we were young, and, even when our parents, more so our parents, there was this whole tradition of listening to oral stories, this oral tradition of oral storytelling, and the stories which came down from our dadis and nannies and great-grandmothers, great-great-grandmothers. Now what happens is, I don't know how children do it, but when you go and visit your grandparents, I don't know if you spend time on your gadgets, but a better idea would be to listen to their stories, because they have lived
and record them.
And record them. Yes, and record them, because they have lived in a time which you have not seen. And maybe you can turn them into beautiful stories of their past, their tradition, and, turn them into maybe fiction, or present them as family memoirs, or anything like that. So I think that's a beautiful point. Or a complete book. or a comic book, absolutely. That's a lovely point that Dr. Chauhan has given us, and we must, think about it, and we must ask people around us to tell stories of when they were young. So thank you so much, Dr. Purnima
No,
Chauhan, today.
Sonia, I remember the Amar Chitra Kathas which we used to read. They have
Yes,
always stayed with us. I would get them bound and keep them.
yes,
And that
absolutely.
is why I say there is nothing, this culture is lost. We used to collect stamps, and behind every stamp, there was a story.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that is lost. If today I ask any of you that which is the country in which the stamp has a lettering like this, E, V, then A without the middle handle, double A, and then Z sort of a thing. Which is that country? Nobody will know. It's Greece. Greece. So, the hieroglyphics, they tell their own story.
Yes,
Go back into history, and you will be fascinated.
absolutely. I think
Fascinated.
research can bring out beautiful stories, and I think going back to history, going back to your roots, to your culture, you can have lots of stories, and you don't have to really imagine. You can put in your imagination in them, and
One last story, one last reason why tradition should be welcomed is, did you know that Susruta, have you heard of Susruta, who was a surgeon in old Indian times? And he, how he used to stitch up a wound. Aajkal to stitches lagate, you go to a doctor, he'll give you stitches. He used to get ants. The ant would actually catch both ends with the pincers. Then he'll cut off the body of the ant. And for doing bloodletting, where there was bad blood in the body, which could have spread infection, septicemia, he used to put leeches, and the leech would drink all the blood. And then they'll put salt on the leech, and the leech would leave the body. So these are things. Recently, when about 10, 15 years ago, there was a tsunami. Do you know there were some fishermen who knew a tsunami is coming? How? Because they had seen the red fish. Do you know what is the red fish? It never comes to the surface of the ocean. It only comes when there is a rumbling in the depths of the earth, and that is a tsunami. Now, those uneducated, illiterate people knew 48 hours in advance that there is going to be a tsunami, and they left to it.
imagine putting up a story on an entire story based on a red fish. It would be so exciting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So please read the tradition. It's important to go to your roots, or to any roots for that matter, not yours alone. But when you know your roots and you're interacting with another author from another country who knows his roots, wow, the synergy will make 2 + 2 5.
so I think we'll have to wind up the session now. We are running, already running over time. So thank you so much, Dr. Purnima, for being here. I think we've all learned very, very valuable lessons today on story writing. And any closing note you'd like to add?
Story writing is a lot of food for thought for the author as well as for the reader. I think I'll end on that. And it is an amazing journey.
Thank you so much. I think we all had an amazing session. And on behalf of all the children, Vandana, Keekly team, I would like to again thank you. And I hope the children benefited.
You all the very best in whatever you do. Even if you do hobby writing, don't leave it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, children, for being here. We'll just close the session here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.